Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Series 9 is brought to you with Lava Light. Whether you're a novice gardener, specialist grower, or houseplant enthusiast, Lava Light can help you to nourish and protect your plants all year round. The collection comprises 8 different horticultural growing media and pest control products, each continually offering the same natural benefits from thermal protection and moisture retention to soil conditioning and continued nutrient boosts. Derived from volcanic deposits, Lava Light is completely natural and sustainable. Look out for it online or in your local gardening stores. Just a few years ago, Tayshan Hayden-Smith was playing football for a top team in Austria, but today his life is very different as he's making moves in a different arena. This time it's a horticultural arena.
And following the Grenfell Tower fire, which was close to his home, Tayshan's life started to take a completely different path. He found a new passion when he started planting a Grenfell Garden of Peace and quickly became known as the Grenfell Guerrilla Gardener. We wanted to talk to him for so long. I'm so excited, honestly, to have you on the podcast. We can't wait to get your refreshing view on horticulture, where horticulture is going next, and also yourself as well. So welcome so much to the podcast.
No, it's a great pleasure to be chatting with you both. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. That's cool. We met for the first time at the horticultural event that the HTA did. But I've got this running list of about 30 people now that I've never had enough time to talk to, and I've only ever seen in passing. And you're one of the people on that list, I have to tell you.
Hey, Michael, dreams do come true, right?
So tell us what you're up to at the moment. We're going to ask a bit more about your history, etc. But got any cool projects on the go at the moment? What's a day in the life of Tayshan like right now?
Well, Grow to Know is completely taken over at the moment, and I think that's my kind of main focus is trying to develop and expand and grow and create a more of a sustainable model in how we kind of how our communities thrive. And I feel like there's always an ambition to make communities survive, and I think actually we should be looking at how we can make them thrive and flourish, both environmentally and socially. So a lot of my work is kind of pivots around looking at piloting new models and new ways of creating a bit of a culture change and change of mindset and a change of the way that we're living, because clearly it's not working at the moment. And I guess Grow to Know is the vehicle in which I try to do that.
So going, what you were saying about the environmental and the social side of things, they go hand in hand, don't they? We know that creating positive environmental spaces helps people and communities come together. So you're basically trying to make a model that kind of makes that thrive.
Yeah, exactly. And they both really lean kind of into each other, because if you don't have the kind of investment from the community and that sense of ownership, that sense of love, care and respect for their natural spaces, then they're going to kind of crumble away, and then you're going to be left with a space that's not neither environmentally or socially friendly. And that's what none of us want, especially being from kind of inner city London. I'm all too used to seeing spaces that are developed in a way that doesn't look at how we can improve nature, how we can improve mental health, physical health, biodiversity. I think it's just such an important movement at the moment in trying to explore ways in which we can, meet the needs of people, but equally as important, meet the needs of the environment too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is your Grow to Know initiative. I know we've jumped straight in with that, and you work on that with Danny Clark, right? And this has been running for how long now? Give us a few top lines on that, because I think that's one of your main projects right now, and one that you're certainly the most known for as well.
Yeah, I mean, Grow to Know it was never a plan, or I guess it was never strategized in any way. So I work with Danny Clark and a lovely young lady called Ali Yellop, and we're three directors of Grow to Know. And I guess we've evolved over the last few years. We're still like a baby in this industry in terms of we're a non-profit CIC, and we officially were formed in December 2019, so only a few years into it. And bear in mind, when we first set up, we set up literally going straight into the pandemic, which I think was a challenge in itself. But yeah, we set up initially as a very vague mission about empowering, educating, healing, inspiring. So there wasn't really that much of a focus. We knew we wanted to make change and do something and create a legacy on the work that we'd already done, which was very much in response to the tragedy of the Grenfell Tower fire. So I met Danny and Ali in the aftermath of the Grenfell Tower fire, where I was doing guerrilla gardening in the community, and Ali joined in, and Danny offered himself up as a mentor. Well, he didn't really offer himself up as a mentor, but naturally that's what he became. And and it's kind of evolved into then trying to create legacy based on these unresourced kind of unplanned spaces that were done without any permission or any guidance or support, and turning that into a legal entity, a structured organization that can be the catalyst of change, and try to look at how we can impact our spaces, but how spaces impact us as well. It's a two-way relationship. So Grow to Know is all about reclaiming space, both psychological and physical space, to reconnect people with nature and each other, so that we can improve communities to meet the needs of the environment and communities. So that's where Grow to Know is at the moment. And I'm super blessed to have like such a passionate, ambitious team around me with Danny, Ali, but there's also Petra, and we've just onboarded a new guy called Alex, who I've known for a while. But I think like when you meet our team, you'll find that we're all here for change, and I think that's the most important thing. And we can all relate to, what sparked it was the Grenfell Tower fire, and I think that kind of gives it that serious tone to what we're actually trying to achieve. Because losing 72 people is like, it's not it's not to take lightly. It's something that's impacted a lot of people, this is kind of our response to that, in trying to build a better community and create a model in a way that supports the people that are most in need of that support, whilst also not ignoring the environmental challenges that we're facing.
Yeah, and you've come into it at exactly the right time, because change was needed. Change has been needed for a really long time. But certainly over the last few years, the horticultural industry itself and anyone who hasn't been interested in plants up until this point has really started to recognize the importance of it too. So having a project like, what you're doing, and, getting, you as the ambassador of what you do out there, is so important. And you've hit it at a moment where it's starting to really take off, so it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, like I always say that it's such a shame that it's so it's always kind of celebrated and highlighted as like what's in at the moment, because it shouldn't be. It should be just part of everyday life. It should be the norm. It should be the way that we operate and live as communities, anyways. And so the fact that something like Grenfell Tower, the fire has had to has kind of given this profile, and people have responded and listened to us. I think actually this is something that we want to say, actually anyone can be a gardener, anyone can get involved in improving their community. It's just about understanding ways to access that, those resources, those tools, that knowledge, and working together, really.
Absolutely. I'd love to know, way before all of this and you found your green fingers and green thumbs for those overseas, before your guerrilla gardening, when you were young, did you have any interest in plants? Is it like a completely new interest, or were you always kind of dabbling?
No, I mean, like gardening or horticulture was never in the vocab when I was younger. I actually had to do a Google search of what horticulture meant back when I was doing like guerrilla gardening and someone mentioned it. I was like, what Harry Potter potion is that? It's like
A really good one.
Yeah.
Good one,
Oh, wouldn't you love to get that in a little spell jar?
yeah. That's how we're gonna change lives by
Sprinkling Harry Potter horticulture dust.
Free wizardry, exactly. But yeah, I mean, a massive big up to my mum, who is a big influence. She's no longer with us, but she's with me in many ways, because I kind of see my love for nature very much down to her, because she was so appreciative of our natural surroundings. You know, whether it's like a tree, like a tree in isolation on a very kind of brutal landscape path. Because we live in Ladbroke Grove, North Kensington. It's a very urbanized area, and so there's not a lot of green space. But my mum would always kind of, I guess, be very proactive in making us aware of our natural surrounding. And she would always say, like, be present, be in the moment. And actually being present in the moment is very much about kind of understanding where you are and your connection to your natural surroundings. So, I mean, you know, her love for sunsets, for trees, for plants, I think that really shone through when I needed it the most. So, I kind of give thanks to my mum for her insight and her appreciation, but also, you know, having the capacity to share that, as, you know, she was a single mother of 4 of us. You know, we didn't come from much, so she was able to find time to, I guess, nurture us in that way. So I feel blessed. But yeah, it very much does stem from my mum's influence when I was younger, and I think that's had an impact on all 4 of us as we've grown up. And so, like, this wave of understanding, like, the impact on mental health and nature. My mum was very aware of that from a very young age. I mean, my mum was quite ill from when I was about 12, 13, 14. And so she suddenly kind of did a lot of research and began to recognize the power of nature. And I think that that kind of rubbed off on me. So
yeah, that's amazing. And
yeah, it is amazing.
I think potentially you've already answered the question. So I think when the tragedy at Grenfell happened, what made you start guerrilla gardening? And I think probably the seed was already planted by your mum all those years ago, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because when I first, straight after Grenfell, obviously everyone was in like shock and was like froze, like life's just stopped. And it was in the weeks following where the community took to the streets, both in protest, but also trying to kind of find and understand and connect and be kind of in this space where you can lean on your community, lean on people around you, because you can't quite comprehend like something like that. And there were so many unknowns as well. So we took to the streets, and people started to do artwork on walls, and that's where I started. I started doing like I think I started cleaning a wall to create a canvas for someone to paint on it. I guess it was just a matter of keeping busy, but also an element of creative expression as well. And then like there was just this space that this red bricked raised bed, quite big when you're talking about raised beds. It was like right across the path to where everyone was doing the art. And I just thought, like, this is not a space that reflects my community at all, because it was like this kind of barren, underused, neglected space that clearly had become a bit of a dumping ground for people, where people were throwing like their rubbish in it. So I just started to kind of pick the rubbish up and go and clean it out a bit. So we found like all sorts of stuff in there. And then that's where it all started, really. I wouldn't be able to tell you what made me then go ahead and just beautify that space a bit more and make all those, I guess, experiments in that garden, because that was what it was. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But that was the beauty of it, is that there were no rules to it.
Sometimes I have to say it's better when you don't know what you're doing, because then you haven't got loads of voices of people telling you what to do all the time and kind of bossing you around with horticulture. So yeah, I think you did the right thing. I have to say.
Well, like kind of it makes you think that you should do it a certain way, but there is no way you should do it.
Instinct,
you do it your way. Absolutely, yeah.
But that's it. It's like my route into gardening and horticulture was like the furthest thing from the book at all. Like it's not traditional, it's not conventional. It was just like freestyling. So like I saw how that kind of created access for other people as well. So when we were in that garden doing planting or cleaning or whatever we were doing, people would walk past and like whether it would be like sharing a smile or stopping to have a chat or then offering their time to get involved and stuck in, sharing contact details. Then you create this kind of little sub-community of people who were interested in this space that would want to like get involved in kind of coming to do some gardening on a certain day, or it was just about tearing down those boundaries and those barriers. And then it was in doing that I then I was rubbing shoulders with elders who knew what plants were and knew how to work the land, and that was my way of learning really. So just asking the questions, or someone going, "Oh, do you know what this is?" And I was like, "No," and they would just be like, "Oh, this is this," and you plant it at this time of the year and you prune it at this time of the year, and some things stuck, some things I'm just still somewhere in the air, but that was kind of my route into horticulture, and then we then went on to try and reclaim and take over other spaces in the community, which then kind of then emphasized the need for more community space, more green space, but not in isolation. They need to go together. We need to think of ways of how to integrate community and nature and work with one another, because at the moment we've been at battle, and unfortunately that battle includes people that are very greedy and you're not so caring about the environment. So I think there's a lot to confront, and that was my way in at the very at the very deep end of it all. So yeah, it was like lived experience learning and kind of trying to work backwards really from there, thinking about where does this stem from? Why when I first jumped into the garden, when my friends walked past, was I trying to hide in a bush and not be seen in a garden? It's like all these questions that I was asking of myself that I never asked before, and then started to mold, I guess, like my way of thinking of how we should be engaging with our community, how we should be engaging with our people, but also nature. So I mean, like asking those questions of myself around Grenfell as well, and like why did that happen, and how do we stop that from happening, and how do we build up our communities in a way that makes sure that something like that never happens again. And actually, to me, all answers led to kind of that social and environmental, I guess, concept, or not concept, but a vehicle in which we can improve that, both of those together in tandem. And that's, I guess, what Grow to Know is more of a movement than a place or a project. And as we move through different spaces, well, that's it. Yeah, we're trying to change the way that people think and change the way that I guess tradition tradition kind of has a double-edged sword, because like a lot of people just do things because of tradition, because due to the convenience of it. It's like we've been doing it for a long time, it's working for us, but we've not really looked beyond these walls that we've created, and boundaries that sometimes you might not feel the effect of it because you're the gatekeeper, you're the ones that are actually driving this, but then the people on the outside can't come in. So it's like let's be rid of tradition and look at new solutions, new ways of doing things and systems. And that's why I think sometimes local authorities are quite hard to engage with, because they've got these massive structures and systems that actually have not been working, and they're too kind of embarrassed to say they're not working. So we're here to try and make a bit of a statement to show and exhibit how we can do things differently. And then I guess it'll be through evidence-based plans and projects, we can go, actually, this is what we've done, and this is what we've learned, and this is what we think we should start doing on a wider basis. So
I Hi, my name's Lucy Spencer. I'm a florist and flower farmer here in Suffolk in the UK. I'm a sustainable flower farmer and sustainable florist, trying very hard to save the planet in my own small way. Hi everyone, and welcome to November. Unbelievable, isn't it, how the year just zooms by. We've had Halloween, we've had bonfire night, and now we are looking forward to December. But what are we thinking? Are we thinking November is boring, dark, wet, depressing? Well, it needn't be, because I would like to tell you about a flower, a British flower that you can get locally. You don't have to buy an imported flower, and that is the chrysanthemum, which is having a resurgence in popularity. You might think that the chrysanthemum is a boring flower that you buy from the garage forecourt, and they're wrapped in plastic, they're stiff, they have no movement. However, this is wrong. There are so many different types of chrysanthemums out there, and you may not be able to buy them on your high street, which generally are imported flowers, I have to say. I would like to direct you to an organisation called the Flowers from the Farm, which is an organisation which promotes the growth of seasonal and British flowers. If you go onto the Flowers from the Farm website, which you can find easily if you do a little search online, you can find your local growers to you. Even if you live in London, there are growers, unbelievable, there are quite a few, and they will either be able to deliver you a lovely bouquet of chrysanthemums, or you'll be able to go and pick them up. Either way, you must go and have a look at chrysanthemums. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are like massive, like balls with tentacles coming off them. Some of them are small. They come in all different colours. They are quite incredible. And one of the most amazing things is that they last a long time in the vase. They are really good value flowers, and they needn't be boring. And they can be British in November. So let's not increase our carbon footprint, folks, and buy locally grown flowers. It's easy. I nearly said simples, but I think someone else has taken that catchphrase. Bye for now. See you in December.
It's completely awesome. It is completely awesome. And, you know, what you're doing has taken you down a path that just a few years ago, perhaps you would never have thought you would have been going on. Like you just said, like hiding behind a bush when your friends walk past. Like Michael and I often say when we were younger, like at school, we didn't really talk to our friends so much about the fact we love plants because we were super embarrassed about it. Like it just wasn't a thing, you know, then.
I know that feeling for sure.
Yeah, me too, totally. But like this has just taken you on this path, like into the wizardry of horticulture. I really love that. Like that's what we have to call it now. Are you now going to be pursuing that career, like into the world of horticulture? In exclamation marks, you know, and like over the past year I've seen you like everywhere, like at Chelsea even. I mean that's like epic, like totally amazing. Like are you gonna continue pursuing this like career and getting the message out there? And also would love to know a few highlights that you've had over the last year too.
I mean I guess my career is more pivots around community and trying to work with the people and communities to try and bring them up, and then also bring the gatekeepers down. So there's a middle ground, I guess. And so I kind of see Grow to Know as like that kind of middle organisation that tries to build bridges, tear down boundaries and walls, and create a network of I guess resources, education, and actual real life spaces that people can utilise and engage with. But yeah, my mission is to, I guess, definitely kind of keep evolving Grow to Know and get it to a place where we're really making impacts, not just in London and not just in North Kensington, but nationwide and even beyond that. Because we're looking at building a model that hopefully, and I like to call it a green print, so that we can hand it over and share some of that learning with other communities, other groups, other institutions. Kind of much needed at the moment because there's nothing in place. But yeah, I mean, football's definitely taken a bit of a backseat. I still play a bit of football, but it's not, not to the level, or not with the commitment that I used to play at. So, but I'm comfortable with that. I'm happy with that because the stuff that we're doing at Grow to Know is, it's life changing. So that's what I'm really keen to keep doing.
And obviously, Grow to Know is very much your focus, but you're kind of getting involved in a few different like TV things in here and there. How do you feel about those? You like that side of stuff, or?
Yeah. I mean, it was very unexpected, and like the TV and media stuff is really good in trying to elevate and amplify our messages and what we're trying to talk about, but also representing my community, representing a younger audience, I guess. I mean, I'm 26 now, so I've got to be careful about calling myself a young person, but but yeah, no, I think you find
26 is young, by the way.
But it depends who you're talking to.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you'll know that, I mean, horticulture is generally quite it's definitely not a young person's industry. And it's reflected both in the industry itself, but also on TV. And like, I think, you look at other industries, for example, like arts or fashion, or, you see people of all different ages and all different backgrounds involved in that.
Yeah.
But when you come to like horticulture, it's very much a certain demographic that doesn't necessarily reflect my experience and the people that I know and who I identify with. So, and I think I make the assumption that some people might perceive Grow to Know as this kind of militant like group that are trying to like completely like change everything. Actually, no, what we're trying to do is create safe space for everyone to be involved.
You're trying to add something, not change what's there, but add.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you talk about diversity, I mean, we're talking about age, we're talking about culture, we're talking about background, we're talking about religion, and actually there's walls in all different directions that we're trying to confront and bring down. So I mean, and who can argue with trying to make horticulture and nature more accessible? It benefits everyone, doesn't it? So
So what would you say with your experience of the last few years, what would you say horticulture as an industry kind of needs to do? Is there, like, obviously organizations like you set up with Grow to Know are really going to help, but is there anything kind of fundamental that needs to happen or change, or any clear things that you see?
Yeah, I guess like having conversations, communicating, being more receptive to new ideas and creating new solutions, collaborations, partnerships, but also trusting communities to build from within and supporting that, because I mean, the horticultural industry is highly resourced, and actually we need to redistribute some of those resources to ensure that everyone's involved. But yeah, I guess creating a bit more visibility as well, because I feel like it does feel like a tucked away corner, the horticultural industry, that is like this little kind of exclusive club.
And I think you're one of the best people to tell us that, because like for Ellen and I, we've been involved in it for years, and so we're quite ingrained in it. We need the new faces to tell us. Just like them, when they were doing the horticulture event in Birmingham, and they were always kind of talking about how to get young people into horticulture. And it's like, well, you're never having a young person on the stage to actually ask them. So I think you being there was probably one of the first times they did that. So you need to talk to the actual people to get the real time feedback, not guess what people are interested in or how to approach them, etc. So
and this is the thing. I think like I'm kind of tired of being told what I like and what I want to do. Both on a young person front, but also as a community. Like I'm too used to things being imposed on me rather than being kind of done with, like doing it collaboratively, and then you become more understanding and sympathetic of other people's approach and perceptions and angles, and kind of a bit more of a holistic approach, isn't it, rather than saying, like typically what will happen in somewhere like North Kensington is someone who's not from the area, who has no understanding of the community, of no context, no perspective, comes in, designs something, builds something, then leaves, and then it's like this underused kind of dysfunctional
and they
space.
think they're helping, but they're kind of actually not. Yeah.
No, and then 10 years down the line, you're spending double to try and undo all of that and solve and find solutions. Where actually, what we're saying is, let's be at the table rather than on the menu, because we need to sit around those decision making, those tables where people are, making those decisions, and be part from the very beginning, rather than being kind of like wouldn't even call it beneficiary, like just the recipient of some decisions that are being made for us, not with us. So I think that's
really interesting point. Yeah,
it kind of touches on the model that we're trying to explore to build better spaces in communities.
And you said earlier on also about kind of the different ages within horticulture, which I think is really interesting, because it's quite refreshing what you said, in that a lot of people will kind of start, entering horticulture. I don't even know what the right words are to use, but getting involved in horticulture, and perhaps a younger person, and then they will completely kind of dismiss the older generation, which I think personally is completely wrong, because the older people might struggle to understand how to get younger people in, but those older people have kept the horticulture going. They're the ones that have all the knowledge of all of the plants. So working together is what is key, not separating young and old. Like we always do this weird thing, like this is the young people, this is the old people, but a community is all ages. It's everyone. Like you said, truly diverse. And I see like this little separation sometimes within horticulture where it's young and old, and I really hate it. Like when I see anything, I'm like, oh my God, that's the worst thing, because we need, it's like succession planning, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like you want younger people to come in and take all of the information and knowledge, and then pass that down through future generations. So it's about community working all together. So you mentioned that kind of diverse approach to what you're doing there, which I really, really love. However, we do obviously need to get more younger people into horticulture in order to have that succession plan like in place, if you like. How do you see we can get younger people interested in plants? Like what's the best way to go about that? And also with technology part of it, social media and everything else. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like there's got to be some sort of handover process, I guess, because like I said, tradition or convenience is like kind of keeping things the way they are, because someone's in a certain position and that's comfy for them, but then you're naturally creating like barriers of entry because you're holding that space. But actually, I think we should understand the value in the knowledge, the experience, and try and I guess share some of that. And all too often, and I guess RHS have been on the receiving end of some of my criticism in the past, but now I guess I'm part of kind of what they're trying to do and trying to achieve and create more access to young people and communities. But being a gatekeeper, I guess, is like the RHS, having all those resources and being the kind of hub of knowledge and tools, actually finding ways of trying to, I guess, get that to the most, how do you say, the people who need it the most. I think that's got to be an effort made from them rather than the people who could really benefit from it, because actually these people are trying to survive, may not have capacity or time, but how do we create space for that? And that's what I'm really interested in looking at. So yeah, I think like I said, there's got to be more involvement, more integration, and more new systems that champion young people in roles and positions and in organizations, to give them that fulfillment, but also so that they're understanding that they're part of a bigger plan rather than something that's like a project. So I'm trying to move away from the use of the word project, because it gives the idea that it's just like one isolated thing. It's better to look at it as a plan, like part of a string or a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And obviously, you've been thrown into loads of different projects, etc. Obviously, the TV stuff we talked about, this and that. Obviously, podcast interviews like today. But something you did recently that I thought was really cool was the Nike Flowers promo. Nike.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that project.
Well, so I play I'm still involved at Grenfell Athletic Football Club, which is similarly to Grow to Know. It was set up in response to Grenfell Tower Fire. So being a space where men and women now can join the club and be part of a community that, using football as that kind of catalyst to open up and get us kind of out and exercise and playing part of a team. And so Grenfell and Nike have a link up. Grenfell Athletic have a link up, and through that there was a conversation that I guess came off the back of being involved at Grenfell Athletic, where we were like, when have we ever done like a sports kind of nature gardening collab? And obviously, as someone who's involved in sports and football, it kind of felt like the right space to do something. And so the reason why I really wanted to explore the Nike collab was because Nike have such good engagement from younger people between the ages of 16 to 25. Either side of that too. I mean, they're massive. I don't need to explain what they do and their reach. But by creating this Flowers in Football project, we use football as the kind of way in to have those conversations about nature and how we could improve our spaces, but also how we can create a more sustainable and environmentally friendly football industry. So that it was about, I guess, finding that kind of way in, that access point that will get people excited and involved and engaged. And Flowers in Football was that kind of lens into
I loved it.
This really project.
Cool. Yeah.
I love it. Flowers and football. That's super cool.
I think it's nice when a big international kind of brand then recognises horticulture as an industry and in its own existence as well. And that's what made my ears prick up. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it was like we had a really good turnout, and we actually built a garden as a result of that project, which was cool.
That's very cool. And also, off the back of all of this, you were also very recently became an RHS ambassador, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that all happened so randomly and was part of, I guess, off the back of our Chelsea Flower Show garden. I remember getting a call very late in the day on a Friday, just before our garden was going to be judged. I think the garden was judged on the Sunday and it was press day on the Monday. And I got a call from the RHS saying, we've just had a crazy idea and we're announcing our ambassadors for Monday and we'd love you to be part of that team. But I kind of had a few terms and conditions.
I don't blame you.
I bet you did. I don't blame you at all.
I was like, I want a mansion in Holland Park. I think for me, I was like, well, I'm not here for just being part of a photo op and a tick box. I'm here to actually change stuff. So I kind of opened the conversation to future ideas and partnerships and developments, which we're currently exploring now. And I know they'd kill me if I said anything. So, but I'd say keep your eyes peeled and watch your space.
Cool.
That's left us on a cliffhanger, hasn't it? Really. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Where can listeners find out more about you, online or website, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're on most social media platforms. Grow to Know, so grow with the number 2 and then KNOW. We also got a website, www. Did I say that? How many W's did I say? 3 W's.
You said 3.
I don't think we need any W's these days, do we? Just something.com works, I think.
Yeah. growtoknow.org.uk.
Yeah.
And you can find us and we've got a really small team. So give us a shout and I'm sure we'll get back to you when we can.
That's cool. Oh, wicked.
Very cool. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and telling us all about your mission and making horticulture magical. We love the Harry Potter stuff too. It's been a pleasure to chat with you. Like I've wanted to for so long, like just seeing everything you've done. I loved your Chelsea flower show garden as well. That was just completely awesome. So thank you again for being part of horticulture and everything that you're doing for communities.
No, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for having me on and inviting me. And yeah, I feel like we'll have many more conversations in the future. I'll keep bumping into you, Michael, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have more time next time. So yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sam.
And I'm Tony.
And we run the Suffolk Jungle Room in Metfield, which is a cafe and a houseplant haven. And yeah, we have fun doing it, don't we?
Yeah, we really enjoy doing it. And at this festive time of year, we're getting ready for Christmas. So, Sam, what have you brought in for the Christmas festive spirits?
I've gone a bit Christmas mad. So we have got a whole little retail display now with Christmassy stuff on. Most of it is chocolate based, which is good. Chocolate robins, chocolate penguins, chocolate Santas, chocolate Christmas puddings. You get the idea. Also, I've been busy making up little labels that go on the plants, Merry Christmas labels. So if you are struggling to find something for someone as a gift, you can literally come into the shop, buy a plant, say it's for so-and-so for Christmas, and you can have a label stuck on it there and then. And I cut myself twice making them yesterday on the guillotine.
2 little paper cuts, weren't they?
It was ridiculous. Tell us what you're doing, Tony.
So we have been doing lots of winter sharing boards, lots of people coming in to have that, which is like a little soup and cheese on toast, followed by a little bit of cheese and biscuits, grapes and celery.
It's so lovely. It's so cosy, that dish, isn't it? And great for two to share. And it's what we're going to use for our festive feast. Tell everyone about that.
The festive feast. So we've got that coming up. We're doing an evening where you come down, you get your glass of bubbly, and then you have a winter sharing board, followed by mince pies.
And a cake selection. And you leave with a house plant, of course.
Of course.
It's basically the rules here that you come in for food and leave with a plant, or you come in for a plant and you end up eating lunch. It's just how it works. But yeah, we're looking forward to Christmas and we're looking forward to meeting lots of new customers. So if you want to come down and get your houseplant fix, or you want to come and have a winter sharing board or some of our brilliant Christmassy cakes and mince pies, then come and find us in Metfield.
Don't forget to bring your dogs.
Definitely bring your dogs. We're enjoying lots of dogs this month. We don't even care if they're muddy. We don't care if you've been walking and they come in like covered in mud and wet. That's fine.
So we've got the out the back. We've got an outdoor fire pit. Oh, it's more like an enclosed.
It is. It's like a patio heater, isn't it? But we need to light that.
Yeah. It looks great once it's alight and the logs go on, and it just all feels very Christmassy. Let's sit your dog in front of that to dry out if it's a little bit wet. And
from next Monday, it's going to look like someone has vomited fairy lights in the room. I'm going to cover the cafe head to toe in fairy lights.
Can't wait for that, can you?
Not at all. Looking forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Series 9 is brought to you with Lava Light. Derived from volcanic deposits, Lava Light can help you to nourish and protect your plants all year round. The collection comprises of 8 different horticultural growing media and pest control products. Look out for their colourful packs either online and in your local gardening stores.
I really love your top. Is that like a shell top or is it a different material?
Well, do you know what? It's lovely, but it's kind of embarrassing because, like my partner, like he's like, I hate the phrase lost weight, but he's kind of like really slim, really nicely in last few months.
Yeah.
And now he's handing clothes down to me because I must be the one that's still fat. So I had on the bed yesterday 10 different hand-me-downs. Okay.
Don't rub it in. Yeah, you don't have to rub it in, but fine, I'll wear them anyway.
But it is very nice, and it's got an off-centre zip, which we always love, you see.
Look.
I'm not. All I can see now is your chest. But yeah,
I
do
opened
like
it
the
all up to you, Ellen. Anyway, thank you for that wild compliment. It's not quite shell material. It's kind of like a futuristic material. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's nice.
What does that really mean? What does that really mean?
Futuristic would be like made of mushrooms or something. Do you know what I mean? Like made of plants.
You're made of mushrooms.
Kind of
oh. Hey, Ellen,
sorry, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a really, really loud truck just driving by. So I don't know if you can wonder what that is. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, is it a badger?
A badger? What truck? Where
Ellen,
are we going?
I know exactly where you were 2 nights ago because I saw it on the Instagram story of Charlotte Garden Club.
Michael, let me tell. Oh my God!
I was looking for you in the crowd, and there you were, hobnobbing, gasbagging.
Hobnobbing with the local Charlotte. I replied to their story.
I said, "There's my melon."
There's my melon. What did you say? Who? What?
You said, "Oh, you mean Ellen?"
They are amazing. Like, they are a really vibrant
It looked like a lovely
club.
buffet, I have to say.
They have 350 members, and you take in food for the buffet, and they have wine, which of course I'd had a little bit of in order to hobnob.
Hob.
And everyone was so welcoming. It was the first time I'd been, because I'm doing a talk there next month, and it's like in an auditorium in this big art museum. It's fabulous. Wow. And so I wanted to go along and meet them all because I've been chatting with them for ages. And obviously throughout COVID, they didn't do some, and then it was via Zoom. Now it's all in person. And I went to see a talk about maples or aces, and by these 2 guys who were so good. They were so funny. It was a brilliant talk, and everyone was so lovely. And all in all, I'm really excited now about going to do my talk. Have you stolen
them for the podcast?
Totally stolen them.
Yes.
The next day, literally, I was like, "Please come on the podcast." They were really good. Yeah,
Ellen, but this is really interesting because, like, a lot of people in like UK, we would have the opinion that garden clubs in UK are kind of, fading away, right? But this sounds like a really vibrant garden club. What did they do different? What could UK clubs learn from what they were doing there in Charlotte?
That is a really interesting question. I feel like I'm being interviewed now. You're right.
I think you've got the insight that we all need.
In the UK, many of the gardening clubs, which are, I think, really essential for some communities, especially with older people, because obviously, you go and talk to the clubs, and whilst there may not be that many younger people that attend the gardening clubs, for the generations that are there, that is an essential community lifeline. They are really, really important. And what could they do that's different to Charlotte? I don't know. But what I will say is that Charlotte is a city, and there's a lot of young people moving here. So it is a migration city, because it's a lot of finance and banking and IT and stuff. So people are drawn in from other places into the city. And Charlotte Gardening Club do a lot of social media. They do a lot of stuff around the community with colleges, directly with colleges, and they donate some money each year to a horticultural program at a Piedmont College, which is here. They get involved with the community. And I don't know that, I'm sure there are some gardening clubs that do that, but in the UK, but they get out there a lot. Do you know what I mean? They get outside of their gardening bubble.
Were they younger generally, or were the organisers younger, or what? Well, not that I'm saying age has anything to do with it, but I'm just wondering if that brings a different energy.
It was a mix.
Also, just while I'm there, is it different because it's in the city?
I think the 2 things are the city is a thing, definitely. Like 350 members is a lot of members, but it is city based. Like if you go to a village garden club, like you're not going to get so many, because there's not that many people that live in the village, so that's that for sure. It's a whole mix of ages. There was young people, younger than me, not that I'm young anymore, but there was 20-year-olds, and then there was, I don't know, 70, 80-year-olds, I guess, a whole group of diverse people who
Interesting.
just love plants. Yeah, it was very, very vibrant and enjoyable.
Do you think? Did you feel like when you're there, like knob hobbing as you were? Did people have a different type of confidence that they might have had at a garden club? Is there like overall the different personality of an American means that their garden club is going to manifest in a different way? Sorry, I'm not letting this go. This is a very interesting discussion point.
Oh yeah, gosh.
You're in for another 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh. I just think it's just a whole group of people who love plants. Like I don't.
But I remember when I was in America quite a few years ago working, and they are a lot better at networking and kind of they've got the confidence to walk up to someone, start talking. Hi, how are you? Where are you from? Which we don't always have this in UK. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the British way, isn't it? We're a little bit more pensive when it comes to just approaching people and having those conversations. Like I walked in and I was literally taken away by people. This is this person, and like chatting to people. There was a lovely lady who has a beautiful garden that she was super proud of. And I said, do you do social media for your garden? And she said, no. And I said, well, you must. And then the next day she set up her new Instagram account. So they're very
That means
open.
You've influenced someone in real life.
In real life, yeah.
That is the ultimate.
So yeah, maybe there's that. Maybe there's that.
Inception.
Yeah, there's that more openness to get going in the first place, perhaps. I don't know. It's a different way. But at the end of the day, it's just a whole group of people that love plants. And that's the same really with any gardening club,
Yeah.
Can you hear that
just
truck?
Really interesting.
Sorry.
No, I can't hear anything. I don't know why.
Good.
I don't know why you keep fussing, to be honest.
Because it's so loud. So anyway.
Shut up.
So yeah, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
I was in Holland last week. Obviously, we did our gossips alone. So people would have heard a few things that I was looking at. But after I recorded that gossip on the Friday, I went somewhere amazing, Ellen Mary. You've probably seen it on my socials. But the first, I'm calling it the first, but it may not be. But the first wildlife shop on the high street that I've ever seen in Europe, in Holland. And this was from Vivara, who are obviously the parent company of CJ Wildlife. We've worked with them on the podcast. And they opened a wildlife shop in this small town of Venray. And it was amazing. It had obviously all the feeders, nest box section, kind of food, different nest boxes, loads of great staff to advise you. There was a binoculars section. There was an area of outdoor clothing. It was really kind of like a nature shop. It was an amazing concept. And it would be great to get one in the UK, wouldn't it? Because I was talking to my host on the day and kind of with houseplants, younger people and millennials and kind of all of this have kind of latched onto houseplants and kind of made them mainstream. And I think in a way that is what has made them ricochet back onto older people because they're like, oh, houseplants, you guys like them now. Oh, so do we, blah, blah, blah. And we need that. Maybe with looking after wildlife, maybe the younger people are then going to get interested in a similar way to houseplants, put it all over social media, kind of create that momentum that then will kind of mirror back onto the older people as well. So I don't know, I was thinking it's an interesting concept, this wildlife shop, but also the potential that could be there to kind of, get people looking after wildlife in their gardens more and more because, houseplants kind of became trendy, but kind of feeding the wildlife hasn't really got there yet. And I know it seems a bit cringy that something gets trendy, but that is the moment where it goes mainstream, where it gets the coverage, when people do it, and that's the thing we need to do. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
That's like getting the word out there, isn't it? It is about marketing it, and the more people who do it, the more people will do it. That's kind of the same thing. So the shop is like if you take out the wildlife section of a greenhouse, of a garden centre, and then make that a shop all of its own.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. And it was supporting the local community. There was an information board showing places to go bird watching and different walks. And it was absolutely fascinating. And I hadn't realized as well, because there was a showroom there on the lower floor that showed all the kind of public initiatives that happen.
I hadn't realised all of this. Like when obviously, you change a community in nature, you've got to put stuff in like bat boxes, bird boxes, this and that. And it had all of the stuff that they use on a commercial basis. So all the bricks that you put in for, bird nesting, kind of bee bricks, kind of the big nests that they put up on the top of the poles for the storks and the herons as well.
That's so
and so
cool.
It showed you all the industrial stuff as well. It's such an eye-opener, honestly, to visit like Vivara's headquarters. And I think they're at the forefront of, caring for wildlife across Europe. And I say that safe in the knowledge they're not even our sponsor on this series, so I don't have to say that. I'm starting to sound like an advert, but I mean it. They're really an amazing company. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I really hope that they open up something like that in the UK then and really kind of get that movement going.
It was a brave move. Don't get me wrong. It had only been open a year and it kind of was only just starting to find its feet, but it was designed in a really sleek, modern way. It was kind of a little bit, you would compare it to Little Dobbies, what they did with houseplants,
Right.
is that kind of that sort of vibe. And it was amazing, honestly.
That's very cool
Thank
indeed. I did love your updates, like all of the different plants and all the different colours. It was really very cool.
Thank you.
I think it would be really useful if you tell us what Substack is, because obviously you put some posts out there saying.
Obviously, I'm obsessed.
Clearly, but for more information about this or whatever, visit my Substack. But I don't know that many people know what Substack is.
Well, Ellen, do you remember like about a year ago, I said to you, there's an app called Stereo and you could do little like voice, like little mini radio shows on there. And I was utterly obsessed with it for 2 weeks. And I was like, Ellen, this is the future. This is the future. And we went on there. It was kind of like, oh, maybe it wasn't as interesting as I thought. Now, Substack is the opposite of that.
All right. That's good to hear.
No, it's kind of like a newsletter platform almost, but I had to show you. Let me show you how it's. Oh, I can't right now. But like how it's laid out, it's almost like a kind of like a magazine format, the app. And you then subscribe to people's kind of newsletters. So then you kind of read them. They're all like in a list, like almost like you choose that. You then open that as a kind of almost like a magazine, because it's like you put together a newsletter. So it's got written text. You can have images. You can have video. You can also have sound bites in there as well. Right. And most importantly, it's a way of being in control of your content, because, we make content for social media, Instagram, it's reliant on the algorithm. But with Substack, people subscribe to you and they get your content in their inbox. So it's completely there, whatever the weather. It doesn't mean that they're just relying on seeing that content from you, which puts you in the driving seat. And added to that, you can actually add paid subscriptions. So you can actually start to earn a bit of money from that as well. And kind of, myself, I'm like, you've got to think kind of commercially about this stuff. I invest a lot going out there and looking at new products, new ideas, kind of this and that. And so every so often I will create some kind of paid content on there where people can get that look behind the scenes or kind of new ideas or kind of, different approaches to plants, because, that knowledge is kind of valuable, and I'm investing in the trip to go and find it and build the contacts and kind of like, I won't be ashamed to kind of, have a subscription model for that. So
right.
Do you remember it was Mark Diacono that mentioned it originally? Do you remember on the interview we did?
He did. When we interviewed him for the podcast, he was saying about his Substack newsletter, wasn't he? And
yeah. And
that's when your obsession was sparked.
Yes, and you know how I am. But no, I'm investing time in that, kind of putting a lot of my new product findings there, because also, I spend a week in Holland. I see too much stuff for Instagram, because if I was to put 4 reels up in a day, I would be right down in the algorithm, which is like, because it would be like I'm spamming it. But it's like, well, hold on a minute. I'm actually creating really interesting content that people probably want to see, but they can't see because Instagram thinks I'm doing too much, so kind of chill out. And now I'm the one that's going to be in control of that content, I don't know. I'm playing with it heavily, Ellen Mary.
Taking control of the social media giants. So it's funny, isn't it? Like they want content, but you put too much content on, then they don't like that.
And I don't want to.
I don't want to have to play that game and kind of then, be like, oh, have I had enough likes on this or comments? I don't want to. That's not. I think a lot of us would say this. That's not what we're in it for. We're in it because we want to connect with people. We want to share our love and our findings and just kind of titillate people with the interesting things that we know and find and get people excited and not have to think about, oh, I need to post it at 5 p.m. or this happens or that. And it's just,
Your passion is exuberating, but also it's turning mildly into a rant.
All the warning signs.
Let me tell you, though, talking about social media giants, obviously Elon Musk took over Twitter and then made all the changes, i.e. you have to pay for your blue tick and all of those kind of things. And he put some kind of information out there about how they are going to be much stricter about some of the posts on there. Well, a friend of mine who is, he works as a freelancer, but also he works for Norfolk Wildlife Trust. He's been on the BBC. He's written for publications all around the world. What he doesn't know about birds, he is absolutely fascinating. He's brilliant. In fact, we should get him on the podcast. He's called Nick, and he's an awesome guy. Anyway, he lives in Norfolk and he lives up by the coast. And he posted to Twitter a flock of geese flying over his house, and he posted about these geese and just said, hope you will have these geese are whatever they were.
I've got no idea where this is going, by the way.
And hope you and hope you have a lovely day, right? And Twitter blocked him because they thought that was not appropriate content. Now his tag is the willow tit because he is a birder, and maybe that's involved in it, I don't know, but he's currently in this Twitter spat with the administration about why on earth he would be blocked because he posted about geese flying over his house and wished everyone a lovely day. But his letters are hilarious, so if you follow him on Instagram, the willow tit, Nick Atchison, you can see the funny things he's written to the admin
in
bot.
a Joe Lycett type way.
Yeah, it's very, very funny. But who knows where the social media giants are taking all of that business? But there you go.
Intriguing, yeah.
Yeah. So be careful what you post. You might get blocked.
Yeah, but that's where, it's maybe nicer to be more in control of it, That's the thing. And there's just, I don't know, social media just always seems to leave a bad taste in your mouth, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, we all love it, but we also don't. None of us really love it.
And all we want to do is share the love of plants, and none of the other side dish. So, I don't know, melon.
No one wants a side dish, do they? Anyway, very good.
Ding to the dong.
That was a relatively appropriate gossip.
Is that a Christmas decoration behind you?
Oh, you can see the red bow. So that's the that's our Norfolk Island pine, and I had to do a feature on a Christmas plant for a newspaper, and I got a big red bow for the Norfolk Island pine and put some lights on it. But bear in mind that I'm not a festive person at all, so I had to create some festive plant displays.
You told me you were going to make a real effort this year, actually.
In early November, but not in early November. I'll make more of an effort closer, into December. But this was way too early, so I was putting baubles around pine cones around the bottom of house plants and stuff, and then trying to photograph them. And even just seeing the baubles was making me antsy. It's I don't do.
Oh my god! Well, think yourself lucky if you work in fashion or an industry where you'd probably have to shoot this stuff in June or something.
Yeah, true.
That would be horrible.
At least 3 months ahead, if not even further. November was too much for me. But there's Christmas decorations everywhere now, in all the shops and in the garden centres.
But I'm hoping, I don't know, with
I don't know, like different kind of political situations and this and that, cost situations. I hope they're not going to bang on about it as much as they do most years. I don't know. But
I don't know. Like the Christmas adverts are all out already, aren't they? And I've actually agreed with some of our family that we're not doing presents this year.
Well, it's just needless. I hate this thing where you have to buy a present on this certain date and you almost have to meet a deadline. It's like, that's not what gift buying is about. It should be something that's heartfelt and kind of more spontaneous, you know. I haven't really got like real TV anymore. I just watch the things on the apps. And that's kind of better in a way, because then you don't almost then have the Christmas adverts that much. Although they're probably still going to be there, aren't they? Like, there's no way to. But that's also the thing I don't like that makes me angry. It's hard to avoid it as well. Like they almost make it so Christmas isn't optional. You know what I mean? Like how it's advertised. But maybe this year they'll pare back on it a bit. I don't know. I know it's important time commercially, but just give people the choice a little bit more, you know?
I don't watch TV, so I don't really see any of it at all. But I think it's a shame that it's not optional, because it's too much every year and it comes around so quickly. And, you know, I know, but some people love it. So some people love the festive season and it brings them joy and hope, and that's lovely for them. I'm going to take that bow off that tree now.
I think you should, darling. All right. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.